What's going on, everybody? Joe Barletta here. Just getting done bringing my little guy to lacrosse practice today. It's frigid out there. It was like 6 degrees out this morning here in the Northeast in Connecticut. But I love it, though. Kills off everything. It's good to go outside and get that nice crackle of fresh air and freeze your lungs up. So, just dropped him off, got back here in the office, and I am going to go over some of the questions that came in. And had a lot of good ones, definitely. I was impressed, which is awesome. So why don't we get started? The first one is from my man, Hubert. What's up, Hubert? How you doing, buddy? Hubert's been a long-time student of mine. He's doing awesome things right now. He's in the Stanford market in Connecticut. And Hubert asks, what questions should you ask a potential lender? And how can you tell that private lender is up for the task? Well, with any type of a private investor type of situation, a private lender, the first thing that you want to do is not going hat in hand and asking for money. All right. So the first thing is that you want to have a prior existing relationship there. So for instance, if you come across at a networking meeting or something and someone who is, poking around and you're having that conversation and you might talk to them a little bit and, let them know that you've got some marketing going on and you're looking at some deals and you're meeting up with a couple potential investors who are looking to, that are interested in investing in some of those and, just kind of pique their interest a little bit and see if they, if they're like, well, yeah, I'd like to talk to you about that. I'm thinking about investing in some, I've got some money and, so you would go from there, start that conversation, start that relationship, but you don't want to have you want to have the investors lined up first before you actually have the deal so you can actually pitch them something. And you want to gauge their experience level. If they're brand new, then they should be following what you have to offer, okay? And what we offer our private lenders is we give them their investment is secured by a first or second lien position. We go over what we offer them as far as terms. Typically, we like to do 8 to 10% for private money is what we offer to pay them, simple interest, and no points. We try to get away with not doing points because if you're paying points, you might as well be going to a hard money lender. And private money lenders, remember, are going to be family, friends, business associates, other investors, I've met some of my first private money investors came from deals that I was actually doing. They people who are around you see those opportunities. So when you start creating opportunities and people see that you're doing things successfully, you kind of attract that private money. And then people just kind of like, well, I see what you're doing there. I've got some money sitting in a bank account or in my IRA. I'd like to maybe partner up on something. So when you become, I always say this, when you become a capable person, you will attract capable people and the opportunities will present themselves. So great question, Hubert. And let's see, the second part is how can you tell that a private lender is up for the task? Just make sure, get some form of a small commitment from them. Let them know, like when you sit down and talk to them, Mr. Investor, I don't have something that's ready to go right now, but I have a couple offers that are out and something could come about at any day now. So if I do get something, I do need to act quickly. Can I get your commitment a yes or no either way if you would be interested or not now? So when the time does come, I know that I have your approval and we can move forward. All right, so a small commitment up front just to let them know that, your time is very valuable and you need a commitment, okay? So you don't want to be messing around with wishy-washy people. All right, cool. Next question is from George. George says he's got a 3-family home and he is living in one unit and he's got some family in one of the others and is renting out the third. They're in the process of looking to purchase another property for rental, for rental reasons, and he's looking at Virginia or North Carolina, which is cool, and he would like to know my input on these ideas. Well, George, I think that's an awesome idea. So I assume that you're asking me my opinion on the Virginia and North Carolina market or just investing out of state. as a Connecticut investor, I actively, as you guys probably know, I actively rehab and wholesale in Connecticut, but I have all my rentals are out of state. So the first thing that I would ask you is, what is it about the Virginia or North Carolina market that's attracting you there? For me, one of the biggest things that attracted me to my rentals are in Tennessee, by the way. I had relationships with other investors who were doing really well in that market, and I analyzed the hell out of it, looking at it every which way to Sunday. And I found the best team that I could put in place down there. And so that would be step one, really looking for an excellent team on the ground. If you've got an out-of-state rental, you want to have an excellent property management company, even if it's only one property. You don't want to be, I think it's worth its weight in gold to have a property manager handle those minor nuisances. Those aren't things that if it's for passive income, you want it to be passive. You don't want to be actively managing tenants and repairs and coordinating contractors and doing all that stuff when things come up, okay? Passive income, to me, should be off my plate, all right? That's why I hire property managers. A good property manager is worth his or her weight in gold. So a couple of things that I look at when I'm looking at out-of-state rentals, the market itself. I like, obviously you want good cash flow. So there's low tax structures in Tennessee. Cheap taxes, way cheaper than here in Connecticut. Their price points are lower, so you can get a good, all my rentals are single families. I don't have multis. I can get a nice single family brick ranch, low maintenance for, right around $100,000. Between all my rentals are somewhere between $85,000 and $100,000 purchase price. They all rent between $950 to $1,100 very nicely. They all cash flow, low maintenance. Very mild winters, unlike up here in Connecticut, here in the Northeast, where you get the really frigid temperatures. Things tend to degrade quickly when you're exposed to these elements like this. So mild winters is nice. Very landlord friendly is huge. Again, here in Connecticut, not so much landlord friendly. We haven't had an eviction in a while, but the last time that I had one, when the tenant defaulted on the rent, they were served and they were out of the property within several weeks, and my property management company went in there. They got it all rent ready again. They got all the repairs done, got it all shiny, sparkling, and turnkey again, and had it re-rented. So all within 60 days. So turnaround time from when the tenant defaulted to when they were evicted, rehabbed, and re-rented was all under 60 days. That's huge. All right. So when you got a good team in place, you can expect timelines like that, which is really cool. If you got a great market that you're in with a good tenant to buyer ratio, where I'm at in Tennessee, there's a great pool of renters. People rent for, most of my leases are all signed for 2 years, which is great. There's low turnaround. And, the other thing, there's a lot of job growth, too. A lot of jobs on there. There's Fortune 500 companies that are there. So there's also military presence. And it's just there's schools. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to rent. We've got great houses in good neighborhoods, very affordable. They cash flow, got an excellent property manager, and that's a great recipe for success right there. All right. So that's what I recommend, things that you look for if you are interested in buying out of state. Okay, George, hope that helps. Miss Carmen. Carmen says, I have a question. Where is the best source of getting cash buyers? Okay, cash buyers, I will always say this. This is now, it's 2017. There's lots of cash buyers out there. It's not like 2008 when everybody ran to the hills out of real estate. Right now, there's a lot of opportunities, and everybody, with a pickup truck and a shovel and a hammer is looking to rehab houses. So there's tons of opportunity for cash buyers. You're better off finding a good deal and marketing that deal, and the buyers will come out of the woodworks. But in my trainings that you've probably gone through, Carmen, you will notice that one of the biggest ways that I built my cash buyer list when I was first getting started, every Saturday there are auctions here in Connecticut. So I would go, I would, during the week when the foreclosures would come out, I would go through the paper, outline a couple potential good properties that I would think would be good investor type properties, and I would go to those auctions. I would take a yellow pad with me, simple old yellow pad, bring a couple extra cups of coffee, go down there, bring some business cards. Who's going to auctions? Cash investors. They're looking to buy property. So I would go down there, network. So another way to do it is just doing a simple Google search. We buy houses, whatever your area is. Okay. And Carmen, you're in my market here in Connecticut, so you can always send something over to me and I will help you out with that. I've got an extensive list of cash buyers here in Connecticut. But it's something, if you are looking to, the best source, I can't say there's one particular best source of cash buyers. There's a number of ways to market. You can also use bandit signs. Bandit signs, like a reverse bandit sign. Most people use bandit signs to attract sellers. You could use bandit signs to attract buyers. You can post a bandit sign that says, handyman special, cash buyer, cheap one, cash buyers only, cheap handyman special, something along that lines. I never used them to attract cash buyers, but you see people who do. They're a great way people will call if they see a sign that says, house $45,000, needs extensive TLC, and a phone number. That will attract people and grab attention. So using bandit signs in reverse to attract buyers is another great way. The key is to always be networking and marketing to add them to your list. When you go out to a meetup group or a RIA meeting, you should constantly be looking to acquire other business cards of other potential investors, and not just going home and throwing those business cards in your drawer, but actually putting them into a list and making a note of that type of deal that investor is looking for. All right, because I say this often, it's not so much just about having the list. It's about having a relationship with the right buyer, with the right buyers who are really doing lots of deals, lots of volume, getting to know them, knowing exactly what it is that they're looking for, and then going out there and when you find a deal that is a fit, bringing it to those investors, okay? So there's lots of ways to find cash buyers out there, but it's more important right now. I think the best way is if you actually have a deal and market that deal, you'll get all the buyers that you need. Okay. Let's see. Tom asks, is working with $500 for marketing for starters far-fetched? And how would I know contractors I'm about to hire are not ripping me off? Okay, first, is $500 for a marketing budget too far-fetched? I think what you're asking me is that enough, Tom? And, $500, when you're first getting started and learning how to market, you have to have a budget, okay? There's tons of ways to market for deals. Some require more time, some require more money. Ultimately, we don't want to be investing all of our time, trading our time and going out there and looking for deals, going out driving for dollars, going out and actually doing our bandit signs, going out and, always, we want leads to come to us, and spending a little bit of money to do so, whether that be on an online Google AdWords campaign or a direct mail campaign, or hiring a marketing manager to actually go out there and do some marketing for us, is really the best way to generate consistent leads, because we want to be marketing in spite of what we're doing. Because if we are responsible for doing all that marketing ourselves, doing it consistently day in and day out, it's going to fall by the wayside. It's not going to be done as consistently enough. So $500 when you're first getting started, yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable to set aside some money to maybe do a direct mail campaign, okay, and get a certain amount of leads coming in each week. So if you've got $500 for the month, what's that, $125 for a week? That can get you 50 to 100 letters, something like that, a week that are going out each and every week. And if you're doing that day after day, month after month, the ads, the leads start to add up, and you build a pipeline. Okay, excuse me for a second. So when you have a pipeline, then you can, and you're making offers, you can go back when that seller, didn't accept your offer that first time around, you can go back to them, 30 days later and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm just touching base. How's things going with your property? Has anything changed? So the key is to, $500 may not be a big budget to get started with, but it's enough to get you started and learning and implementing, and then gauging the results of those campaigns that you're putting out there, okay? So if you spend $500 on a campaign and you don't get squat for results, then you got to tweak something, all right? Now, preferably, if you have somebody that you can rely on, like a mentor or someone like myself that will, guide you through, the ins and outs, if, what to expect and what you need to look out for and navigate, is your marketing message off? Are you sending to the wrong list? Is it, whatever? It could be a number of things. But those are the things that you will constantly need to test, track your results, and measure, okay, and redeploy. So marketing is, if you're not marketing consistently and getting leads coming in, then you don't have a business, all right? If you're just, hoping that the phone is going to ring, or if you're just relying on the MLS like everybody else does to go out there and look for, deals on the MLS, everybody does that. So if you don't have enough deals, it's not a surprise that if you're not doing, Craigslist bandit signs, Craigslist, online marketing, networking, direct mail campaigns, all that stuff, you have to have a plan. Not one specific strategy is going to be the end all be all. A lot of my leads come from networking and other wholesalers. I love direct mail. Direct mail for me is where it's at. I do pretty extensive direct mail campaigns because I know what my numbers are. And my problem is I don't have enough, okay? Connecticut is kind of a smaller state, our counties are kind of, they're not that big, compared to like bigger markets, like these big metro areas like Dallas or Fort Worth or Tampa, So with direct mail, for me, I'm kind of limited, even statewide. I wholesale statewide, but I'll only rehab within probably a 40-minute radius of my office here in North Haven. But if I could blow up direct mail, and have more, I would absolutely do it. But we're just limited by the size of our market here. So direct mail is where it's at for me. I love being able to get a list, send that list over to a mail house and tell them which letter I want to use, when I want that mailing to drop. I may take a list of a couple thousand absentee owners, send it over to my mail house and tell them, send out, 2,000 letters this week, 2,000 letters next week, and, throughout the month. So do 4 drops of 2,000 letters. And on the first drop, we're going to use a yellow letter. On the second drop, we're going to do a postcard. Third's going to be a professional letterhead, whatever, so you can set everything up and then it's off your plate and you don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay. And then the phone rings and then you just field the leads. Okay. So is $500 far-fetched to get started? No, not at all. I truly think that, and regardless, if you had a really big budget that you wanted to get started with, I wouldn't recommend doing it, because if you're just getting started, you don't know what you don't know yet. And you don't know, if you haven't done any marketing before and you're not familiar with direct mail, or you've never done a bandit sign campaign, start small, test it out, and then track your results. And then you can move ahead knowing what you need to do with that data that comes about. So if it works on a small level, then scale it up. But I wouldn't recommend somebody who's just getting started to spend like a couple $1,000s on a marketing campaign, because if by chance it did work, which is great, you'd be flooded with leads and you probably wouldn't know how to source them yet, and it would be a waste of time and money, okay? So you just get probably overwhelmed and go crazy, which is not what you want to do. So start small, test it out, and adjust as necessary. Okay, Tom? Second part of your question, how do I know the contractors I'm about to hire are not ripping me off? Okay, yeah, this is a great question, because you constantly hear horror stories about, homeowners, investors. Contractors really have gotten a reputation for being, for ripping people off. And it's like anything else. There's good and bad versions. There's good and bad options out there. And I think a lot of times people don't hire right from the very beginning. Investors are always looking for the cheapest price. It's not about the cheapest price, okay? So how do we know that we're not getting ripped off? Well, we have a system of checks and balances in place right from the very beginning, okay? You want to be working with contractors who are reputable. Obviously, they're licensed. You want to do your homework, okay? The good contractors are going to be busy. All right, so nobody wants their time wasted, right? And if a contractor is busy, it's for a reason, okay? It's because he's doing a good job. He's probably providing really good work. So they're going to be a little bit tougher to get. It helps to, let them know right up front, if you can build rapport with them and let them know that, number one, you're not going to be wasting their time. You have a system in place. You're not going to be micromanaging them. You love to pay your contractors that do good work. And you have a system in place that's going to make it much quicker for them to get paid, all right? As long as they do the work within our system and the way we do it. And the way we do it is we provide a scope of work from the very beginning, which itemizes everything. We don't just point and tell them what needs to be done and they have a completely different idea what's in their head and what's in our head. We have everything written out in a complete scope of work, all right? We itemize what we want done and the types of materials that we use, all right? And we give them what our proposed budget is. And if they're not within that budget, then, what is their reason why? Why are you not, we know our numbers at this point. We know what things cost, so we're not going to be taken advantage of. But so we also have a number of documents that we have them sign up front. And if I can convey to you one thing, just do not ever prepay your contractor, okay? A good contractor should have credit lines, and they should be able to provide some work up front with materials before. Do not pay your contractors. We do draw schedules. Okay, I should have said do not pay your contractors up front, not do not pay your contractors. Don't pay your contractors up front. They have to complete the work. They should be able to provide. So we have a draw schedule set up, okay, of what needs to be done and when before they get that next payment. So the first phase of most projects is demo. There's usually no materials that need to be brought to the job for that. So we will provide the dumpster. We get the dumpster there, and my contractor, he sends his guys in. They demo. They do everything. Once demo is complete, then they get paid. Then we move on to the next phase, which is the rough out, whatever it is. We itemize each and every phase of the job, what needs to be done, when it needs to be done by, and how much they're going to get paid for that phase. And then we also have a contract with a penalty clause in there. If they run beyond, an agreed upon time frame, they get back charged by the day. Okay, so if everybody works in between, I also bonus them if they come in and they bring the job ahead of time. So, you have to work with the right people. You want to make sure they're investor friendly. Connect with some other investors in your market. Find out who they're using for their rehabs. Don't always go with the lowest price. That's a recipe for disaster. Make sure that your contractors are licensed. Make sure you do not ever pay them up front. And that's a good start for not being taken advantage of. Okay, Tom? So let's see. John asks, how do you buy at the right price and should I get a license? A lot of people always ask, should I get my realtor's license? Yes and no. Okay, that depends. So first off, how do I buy at the right price? Well, you have to know how to analyze the deal, all right? And you have to be able to comp that out. We look at comparable properties in the area. If you're looking to rehab or if you're looking for buy and hold, you're going to be comping it out differently. But so you need to understand what comparable properties are selling for that are similar to your subject property. So there's lots of online valuation services that are free. I mean, you could kind of use Trulia and Zillow and Town Tax Records. There's also Redfin, eAppraisal, RealQuest Express is a great one. Okay, these are all online versions that you can kind of they will give you an estimated value for a particular property, but there's no better way than actually comping it out and having MLS data, which is one of the reasons why you may want to consider getting your realtor's license. I believe that having your realtor's license is a great thing to have. It's a tool for your business, but you got to ask yourself, do you want to be an agent who invests once in a while, or do you want to be an investor with an agent's license? Okay, so a lot of times people who want to get started as an investor will kind of throw in the towel and just get their agent's license and then kind of fool themselves into thinking that they're taking action and, becoming a real estate investor because it's the thing to do. They're getting their license. They feel more knowledgeable. Well, it doesn't necessarily help you on the investment side of the business. Yes, it does add credibility. And having that realtor's license is, like I said, it's another leg for your business that you could add additional income. So it adds credibility. I do recommend getting it at some point. You don't have to do it right off the hop. It depends on what your goals are. All right. So if you're looking to invest, at some point you should have somebody on your team with a realtor's license. Whether yourself or somebody else, you get access to the MLS, which is by far the best way to comp out a property. The MLS is the best tool for getting the most up-to-date data, and it allows you to search and do very specific things that can really dial in that value for you. So yes, getting a license is a great idea, and it will definitely add an additional leg of income for your business, because a lot of the leads that we drive as investors are not always going to be a fit for from an investment standpoint. Okay, they won't necessarily be a fit for a rehab or a wholesale. So if you can monetize that lead, which is what we're always trying to do, because we are marketing, that's step one. We're always marketing, whether it be for buyers or sellers. We're constantly driving leads, but we need to monetize that marketing, right? We need to get a return on that investment. So if not everything is going to be a fit for our investment business, if we have that realtor's license, it makes it easier for us to refer those leads out, and we can get a referral commission. If you like, you could always take on a listing. I used to take on listings that were more of, if I knew my recipe for taking on a listing would be if the house was vacant and the seller was very reasonable and it wasn't going to require a lot of hand-holding on my part. Because when I got my license, it was not to, I got that license to add more credibility and to use on the back end when I went to sell my rehabs. Okay, so it saves a lot of money when you go to list your rehabs. You can save half the commission. Paying a 5% commission on a $200,000 property, that's $10,000 off the top. If you could cut that in half, when you're only paying a buyer's agent $5,000, so that's $5,000 that you can put back in your pocket that you don't have to worry about. And having that MLS data is key to getting the best market value and for getting values and comping out properties for your deals that you're looking at. So do I recommend getting a license? Absolutely. It's a good thing to have, but is it necessary when you're first getting started? If you're going to be an investor, you can wholesale and rehab without one. Okay. But it is definitely a good thing to have, because it will add an additional tool for your business that you can bring in some additional income. And especially when you're first getting started, it helps. Okay. So guys, that's going to be about it for today. Thank you guys for sending over your questions. I had a lot of great ones that came in here. I enjoyed getting this information back to you guys. So I'm going to go drive some more marketing out, get that done now, and I will catch up with you guys soon. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk later.